Good morning, everyone, from Burlington, Vermont. Today is a very momentous day.
Because I am taking a train in the US for the first time ever. That's right, despite being born and raised in the US, I had never taken a train before because, let's face it, they're slow, they're expensive, and there really aren't a lot of routes available. But when I discovered there is a very long and inconvenient train route from Burlington to my next destination, Milwaukee, I just couldn't pass up on this opportunity to try out an American train. I'm gonna show you guys a quick tour of the train station and then let's get on that bad boy. This upper floor here has no real purpose other than to create a street level entryway to the train station, but I just had to show you guys the super cute dragon boat art displays all over the walls. For the past 20 years, there has been an annual dragon boat race here on Lake Champlain. In China, dragon boat races are often held to celebrate various martyrs who are honestly irrelevant here. So this race rallies around another concept instead, which is empowering breast cancer survivors and supporters. Cute, wholesome, can't not love it. Okay, let's go downstairs. Here is the help desk with a paper train schedule. Here are some old nostalgic train pictures. Here is some cute train art. That would be sick if you could actually bring chickens on a train, but I think they're just seeing off their owner at the platform. Here is the only food or beverage facility in this entire place, a water bottle refiller. Gotta stay hydrated, everybody. This is a promotional poster about watching scenery from the train, because even the train itself knows it's not an appealing form of public transport, so it's trying to attract other markets. Eventually, I was lured outside by a train-like sound, and what do you know, it actually was the train. I didn't hear any announcement or see anything on a screen. There was no screen. I guess you just have to be listening for this train noise. Interestingly, there is no ticket check, no ID check, no bag check, anything of the sort. Any random person can just walk right onto the train.
New York City, Penn Station coaching to your left. If you are not going to Penn Station, it's to your right here.
The cabin for non-New York City passengers was so empty that it had me wondering, am I really on the right train? I mean, it has to be the right train because there's like only one train per hour. But I went back out to ask, just in case.
Is this train number 290? I'm suddenly like paranoid I'm on the wrong train. This is the right train, right? This is this train?
This is that train.
Okay, thank you. All right, y'all, I'm on the train finally. The few people that were out there waiting are going to Penn Station, so they're in that train car. And the other stops along the way are just places that nobody wants to go, like Schenectady, which is where I'm going. It's basically just me and this one guy.
Please use the available trains. First station stop in 30 minutes is Virginia, so all tickets out, please.
So the interesting thing about this train is that they don't check your tickets until you are already on the train. So what happens if I don't have a ticket? Will you fling me out the window into Lake Champlain? Will you make me pay for it right then and there? What if I don't have cash on me? Like, what do you do? Why would you put yourself in that awkward situation? Why would you not just check the tickets before the passengers get on the train? But they don't. Please enjoy this view of Lake Champlain with geese everywhere. Another interesting little detail about trains in the US is that there's no fence keeping the public and the train from coming in contact with each other. So if people want to just like go walk around the train track, nothing's really stopping them from doing that. So that's part of why the train really crawls along at a snail pace in a heavily populated area. But now that we're in a less populated area, she's actually going at a pretty respectable speed. This is faster than I was expecting.
If you're curious about the amenities on this train, it has power outlets at every seat and it even has its own Wi-Fi. Don't expect to be able to watch a 4K video with it, but it can do the basics. So anyway, this little ride from Burlington to my train layover in Schenectady is actually just the appetizer of my train journey. The main course happens tonight when I'll be on an overnight train to Chicago. For now, I am just headed to Schenectady to spend a few hours wandering around. Unfortunately, my first impressions of Schenectady were not very pleasant. Schenectady's crime rate is 257 per square mile, almost 10 times the national median. But hey, I'm gonna be stuck in this place for like 7 hours. I'm not really gonna sit in the train station, so we're gonna give Schenectady a chance anyway. If I can ever actually reach the darn place.
The train was supposed to arrive in Schenectady at 1:59 p.m. It is 2:21. And as you can see, I am not in Schenectady. So when they say the trains are not on time, it ain't no joke, people.
The station stop is Schenectady Cafe car is now temporarily closed and reopen after departure from Albany Rensselaer.
Slide that suitcase right over here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go. Train layover in Schenectady. I think I was the only one on that train who is stopping here. This is clearly not a very in-demand destination.
What are you filming?
Making a vlog about my first time on the train.
First time on a train
Yeah, in the U.S. I've never ridden a train before until
in
today.
the U.S. Where are you from?
I am from the U.S. I've just never ridden a train in the U.S.
How'd you like it?
It was late by half an hour, but other than that, it was
that's
great.
American train. Try to Japanese or European. Those trains.
Yeah, those
You
are
can get
fast.
the Europass. Have you been over there?
I've been on the European trains, the Japanese trains, the Chinese trains. They're all very
I
fast.
haven't been on the Chinese. I'm not allowed to go to China.
Oh, really?
I had a security clearance. You going to school here? Or?
No, this is just my stopover. I'm on the way to Milwaukee.
Well, what are you doing out there?
Got a conference.
Oh, well, have fun.
Bye, nice to meet you. First impression of Schenectady. People are very friendly. So the interesting thing about this little trip to Schenectady is that my original plan was to fly from Burlington to Chicago and then have a night in Chicago and then take a bus to Milwaukee the next day. And that's because I forgot that trains exist. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but I genuinely forgot that there is such a thing as a train. So then my mother saw the overnight Chicago thing and she was like, oh no, you can't do that, you'll die because Chicago is dangerous. So you have to pick a different thing. And, you know, normally I'm not a very obedient child, but I was like, okay, whatever, you know, I don't want to fight about this. So I Googled it and I found, oh my goodness, there is a train route. And I was like, perfect, problem solved. And also I am a train connoisseur. I absolutely love trains. And I was really hyped for this train. And then my mother found out about the Schenectady part and she was like, oh my gosh, you cannot be in Schenectady for 5 hours. You're gonna die. Look at the crime rates. And I was like, come on, cut me some slack here. I'm doing my best, okay? So here I am in Schenectady. Hello. I've made a very interesting observation about Schenectady, which is that the people here are extremely friendly, like way more than I would have expected for this being somewhere with such a high crime rate. It doesn't sound like it'd be a very happy place, I guess, but the people are ridiculously friendly. Not just the one guy who started a conversation in the parking lot, like a lot of people have been smiling at me, waving at me, saying hi. Obviously, it's not going to be everyone, but the ratio of people who do that is way higher here than anywhere I've ever been. See those kids behind me playing on the sidewalk? One of them just rolled up to me on his little bike, put his hand out, was like, what's up? And we did the little whatchamacallit.
Even the employee at the Schenectady train station was just ridiculously pleasant and helpful, and not in that saccharine customer service way either.
We got to Chicago 11 minutes early.
Wow.
10:01 a.m. yesterday. 10:11 a.m. 1 minute early the day before.
All right, there's
So looks like we're doing pretty well.
Aside from the friendliness of the locals, I also loved how cute this place was to walk around in. There's lots of old architecture, and since it's not a centralized development like the neighborhood I grew up in, every house and every yard looks different. Sure, having no HOA means some people's yards are full of crap, frankly, but it's also cool how unique everyone's property is. And this is clearly a pretty international neighborhood. Also, Halloween is around the corner, which made for some very interesting yard decorations.
It's almost time to head back to catch my train. Gotta say, I really enjoyed this place. It's very charming, it's very cute. A little bit falling apart in places, a little bit sketchy in places, but overall, I really liked it.
I had very low expectations for Schenectady because what I saw online wasn't really appealing. I was expecting this experience to, as the old proverb goes, suck. But I have to say, I really enjoyed this train layover, a lot more than I expected. I had a very nice stroll here. I strolled a total of 15.25 kilometers. I saw a whole lot of Schenectady. It's honestly a very enjoyable place to be during the day. I'm not planning on wandering here at night. Just throwing that out there. Now let's head in the station and wait for my overnight train to arrive. Unlike the Burlington Amtrak station, this one actually has a screen displaying the one and only train that is leaving tonight, so you cannot possibly mess it up. Actually, this train station has multiple screens, and this one is displaying some entertainment in the form of historical snippets and the renovation process that turned this train station into its glorious final form. Even more interesting than that was the discovery that the Amish apparently are allowed to take trains. After some brief Googling, I realized that cars and airplanes are indeed the devil, but trains are okay. And apparently, Amtrak is beloved in the Amish community. Learn something new every day.
Please remove any travel documents.
All right, folks, we are departing. There is no bed, bunk, or anything of the sort.
There is something called a roomette, which I guess is kind of like a bunk, but the dang thing costs more than a plane ticket.
It's a little bit gnarly that there is no bunk in here. Yeah, it's gonna be a long ride, but that's okay because it's a life experience.
I'm pretty sure there was a dining car somewhere in this train, but I know that train food will never be as good as food from the real world. So I had this thing I brought from Schenectady for dinner instead, and it was delicious.
We got some new people, everyone. We got some fresh meat on this train. We're in... Bro, how do you pronounce that? Utica? 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 Who's naming these places? Schenectady, Utica.
Schenectady. Y'all, I've been pronouncing the name wrong the entire video. It's Schenectady.
Utica. It's called Utica. p.m. and suddenly this train is super crowded.
After this stop in Syracuse that literally quadrupled the population on the train, it was lights out time. Conditions were a little rough, not gonna lie, I was awake most of the night, but I was thankful that there were no snorers in my train cabin. It's the little things, you know what I mean?
Good morning, everyone. As you can see, it's not a super nice day outside. I was really hoping to get you guys some beautiful shots of the soft morning sunlight illuminating the train cabin where everyone is softly dozing, but there was no such thing happening in this joint.
Unfortunately, the best I can offer you is overcast suburban sprawl. A couple hours later, the sky eventually cleared, offering some nice sunlight, but overall, this truly was just about the ugliest train route I've ever been on, and I don't think I have very high standards when it comes to that. I will watch just about anything out a window, but this was just mediocre on a level that I had never experienced before in my life.
We're almost to the station, actually. I think we'll be there in maybe like 20 minutes. And I was expecting on the route there to see more city scenery. And as it turns out, it's actually a graffiti art gallery that just goes on and on. Like nothing has been untouched by these people. They just spray paint everything. So that's cool too.
All right, y'all, we are moments away from Union Station. The scenery is not it, but overall, I am pleased that this train is not only not late, but it's actually early.
Welcome to Chicago, everyone. Yes, Mother approved this Chicago excursion because it's only 1 hour, and statistically, I'm very unlikely to be shot or stabbed in such a short time frame. Especially since about half the passengers around here are Amish people who are generally quite peaceful and probably also think guns are the devil. Anyway, please have a gander at Union Station, the only part of Chicago I'll be able to see before I depart. Now this is what I call a proper train station. An airport departure style screen, multiple food and beverage facilities, a fancy room with a super high ceiling. I would almost give it 5 stars, except for this confusing maze. This was not a vibe. There was also a very impressive array of vending machines selling salad in a jar, antacid tablets, cornrow paste. I admired the selection for a moment and then headed on to my next train. And you're probably like, another train? Yep, another train. I'll spare you the details though and cut to the chase.
Welcome to Milwaukee, everyone.
My 30-hour journey has finally come to an end. This was a pretty extreme choice for a first train trip, and speaking in practical terms, I really wouldn't say I recommend this route. If you also happen to be traveling from Burlington to Milwaukee, maybe look into something else. But what I will say is, I would have forgotten that boring plane flight by now, but this train journey will live on in my memories forever. Glad I could take you guys on this journey with me, and I'll see you next time.